Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, another mass shooting, this time at a medical building in Tulsa, Oklahoma. A gunman killing 4 people and himself at the building on a hospital campus, and the medical system asking for prayer.
There is nothing more this community could do for us than to pray for the families and the loved ones and the victims of this senseless act.
We'll look at this latest in a series of deadly shootings in America. Police are also under fire in a wave of violence aimed at them.
We have to look at how police officers now are being attacked. They're being attacked simply because of the uniform they wear.
The number of officers being killed sharply on the rise. A hiking ministry for those who can't walk.
All of these people at this church are the most amazing group of people. They all befriend him. They don't just do the typical chatter that you get from strangers. They want to know him.
We'll see how this ministry is helping the disabled enjoy the great outdoors. And you may soon place an order and have it delivered to your home by drone. It's already happening in Israel.
You can see multi-drones taking off, doing delivery, coming back, land, finish the delivery process, everything autonomously.
We'll show you these drone deliveries in action. All those stories and more ahead today on CBN NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
We want to begin in Oklahoma, where a gunman carrying a rifle and a handgun killed 4 people Wednesday at a Tulsa medical building on a hospital campus. The Tulsa Police Department deputy chief confirmed the number of dead and said the shooter was dead as well from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He also explained how quickly the police responded.
There was a 3-minute response, so I don't know how long the call took to come in, but it appears as though the whole thing was a 4-minute or so time span from the time it came in to the time officers made contact, 4 to 5 minutes.
The deputy chief added he was very happy with what we know so far regarding the officer's response. A police captain also said multiple people were wounded at that medical complex was a catastrophic scene. It wasn't immediately clear how many people were wounded. St. Francis Health System locked down its campus Wednesday afternoon because of the situation, and the president of the system thanked the first responders and asked for prayer.
We're an organization that believes in the power of prayer, and there is nothing more this community could do for us than to pray for the families and the loved ones and the victims of this senseless act. I can't stand here and not thank the first responders in this city.
Police say the gunman was 35 to 40 years old and a black man. They also do not know the motive at this point. The men and women in blue are not immune from the surge in violent crime across America. More and more police are becoming crime victims. The FBI and law enforcement are trying to shine a light on that problem and come up with solutions. CBN's Brody Carter reports.
We have to look at how police officers now are being attacked. They're being attacked simply because of the uniform they wear.
73 police officers were killed on the job in 2021. That's nearly a 60% jump in police officer deaths than the previous year. Retired Dallas Police Sergeant Trey Penny is president of the National Fallen Officer Foundation and says violence aimed at police is unlike anything he's seen before.
86 ambush-style attacks last year, 26 officers killed. This year alone, we've already had 26 ambush attacks and 7 officers killed.
So why the increase? FBI Director Christopher Wray says some of it's tied to an increase in violent crimes as a whole. In 2020, murder jumped 29% in the U.S., with nearly 5,000 more people killed than 2019. Possible reasons include more juveniles committing violent crimes, increased gun trafficking, and an alarming number of some of the worst criminals getting back on the streets.
Last year, officers were being killed at a rate of almost 1 every 5 days.
The FBI arrested some 15,000 violent gang members last year. Christopher Ray says they're working with task forces and local law enforcement agencies nationwide to try and mitigate this surge in violence. Still, gun violence remains at an all-time high. Researchers for the New England Journal of Medicine found gun violence increased during COVID. There's no clear correlation. Still, some 45,000 firearm-related deaths took place in 2020. Sergeant Penny believes social media is a big part of the problem.
I've been a proponent for regulated social media because of the online radicalism. You know, dating back to the 2016 shooting attack in Dallas, Texas, where 5 officers were killed, and like I said, two of the officers were really good friends of mine. It would not have occurred that way had it not been for the social media online radicalization. Now these platforms are being used to incite violence across the country against police officers, and you have a lot of people, especially on the political spectrum, that have used this free speech narrative, saying that people need to be able to express their opinion.
In the worst cases, Sergeant Penny says those opinions lead to tragedy. Most recently in a Buffalo grocery store, where the shooter targeted black people, killing 10 and injuring 3 based on a racist ideology investigators believe the shooter found online. Sergeant Penny filed a lawsuit against Facebook, Twitter, and Google in connection with the 2016 Dallas shooting. The courts let them go. But it's not stopping law enforcement from finding solutions to serve and protect the men and women who've sworn to do the same.
We will follow the facts wherever they lead, to whomever they lead, no matter who likes it.
Brody Carter, CBN News.
70 missing children have been located and recovered by a team of federal, local, and state law enforcement agencies. They were recovered as part of a 3-week operation in West Texas. That is according to the Department of Homeland Security. Numerous federal, state, and local agencies took part in what's called Operation Lost Souls. It ran from the end of April through mid-May in El Paso, Midland, Ector, and Tom Green counties. The children recovered included victims of sex trafficking and physical as well as sexual abuse. That is, again, according to law enforcement officials. Many of the children and teenagers are runaways, and they range in age from 10 to 17. The majority of the children were located in West Texas, but some were located in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, as well as Colorado and Mexico. You can find out more about this recovery operation at cbnnews.com. We turn now overseas. New concerns. Russia's war on Ukraine is escalating. There are now reports Russian nuclear forces are holding drills north of Moscow. This as the Biden administration is sending a $700 million weapons package to Ukraine, including mid-range rockets capable of reaching Russian territory.
We move quickly to send Ukraine significant amounts of weapons and ammunition so that they can repel Russia's aggression.
The U.S. and NATO reaffirming a commitment to stand behind Ukraine. The joint show of support follows the announcement to supply a small number of high-tech medium-range rockets. President Zelensky has been pleading for the missiles that can travel about 50 miles because they're more precise in targeting Russian forces in his country. The $700 million weapons package also is said to include helicopters, Javelin anti-tank weapons, and tactical vehicles. Ukraine sees the latest shipment of supplies as crucial to stopping Russian advances in the east, especially the fight to defend the strategic city of Severodonetsk, where up to 13,000 civilians are trapped amid the shelling. Now, all eyes are on Russia's response to President Biden's announcement of those weapon systems, with many fearing the war could escalate even further. Coming up, nature hike for those who can't walk. See how one ministry is helping the disabled to enjoy the great outdoors. We're going to bring you that story when we come back. Stay with us. Imagine this, an all-terrain one-wheeled chair perfect for hiking in the great outdoors. A pastor in Ohio is using this chair to connect with an unprecedented, unreached group of people in our own country. Heather Sells has this inspiring story.
Deep in the woods of a Cincinnati park, an adventure for those whose lives are normally heavily restricted.
Big tree root coming up.
Doug Frank is all in for every twist and turn. So are Diane, Mary, and a handful of kids.
These hikes are 45 minutes long. They're in the middle of the woods, putting those with disabilities in situations they normally would not be, along with the Sherpas, the volunteers who are carrying them.
He likes that he's hanging with friends.
All right, ready? You guys ready?
Have fun, Mr. Doug. It's Doug's fourth hike, and he and his mom are sold.
All of these people at this church are the most amazing group of people. They all befriend him. They don't just do the typical chatter that you get from strangers. They want to know him.
And for a man used to battling cerebral palsy, the woods offer a welcome challenge.
He's almost looking forward to getting a little hurt because that's what everybody else, they'd come home and they'd say, I had this great time, but I hurt my elbow or twisted my ankle or something.
Yeah.
And to him, that would be a good reason to hurt your body instead of just therapy.
Yeah.
Pastor Kevin Schwieger started Luke 5 Adventures right before the pandemic. His aha moment, returning from a hike and realizing a wheelchair-bound friend might be hurt if he talked about his fun time.
It just haunted me and hurt my heart to realize that she would never, ever be able to experience this side of heaven what I had experienced. And that just bothered me to the core.
On a quest to help not only his friend but others like her, Schwieger discovered an all-terrain one-wheeled chair. It's made in France and popular in Europe, but unknown here at home. He also discovered more about the country's disability community, with more than 60 million adults and 3 million kids. Landmark research on these children shows those with chronic health conditions often never become part of a church community. 1 in 4 with developmental delays, learning disabilities, or anxiety never attend a service, as well as 1 in 3 with brain injuries, autism, or speech problems.
The world of families living with disabilities is a lonely island of despair for most of them, and there is literally zero chance for them to get off the sidewalk, out of the bedroom.
The ministry, named after the men in Luke 5 who carried their friend to Jesus, does just that, carrying those with disabilities where they cannot go. The simple concept has proved life-changing for both those in the chair and their families. Laura and her husband have 2 children with chronic health conditions and say the hikes provide much-needed fellowship and a break as the volunteers care for their kids.
To not have to worry where this wheelchair needs to go or without it falling or what path can we take. But we're out there and we're able to just relax and be at peace with each other and converse and just be quiet.
Many hikers and their families also recognize that time in God's creation is restorative. Whitney Blackston's 8-year-old daughter can't see or talk, but she loves the outdoors. On one hike, that meant plunging her tiny hand into a stream.
She experiences God's creation through hearing the birds, hearing the insects, and feeling nature, the trees, the leaves. She actually asks to go as often as she can go.
Luke 5 has strategically partnered with the Cincinnati Children's Hospital and the Parks Foundation to broaden support and expertise. The faith-based nonprofit trains its volunteers to safely transport hikers, and that includes carefully strapping them in at the start.
You know, we're leading them one way and the other as we go around the trails, or we're going down and up, sometimes very steep inclines, and we've been in places where it's very steep. And as you can see, our chair is a one-seat-fits-all.
The day we visited, the team took extra care securing Betty, a former hiker who now battles ALS. Moments later, the smiles and joy showed just what it all meant.
It's not rocket science, it's love.
Schwieger has a vision for Luke 5 and its multiplication. Churches across the country reaching these unreached people and their families through a ministry that draws people together in the most beautiful places in their communities. Reporting in Southwest Ohio, Heather Sells, CBN News.
Still ahead, when you make an order for something online or by phone, it could soon be delivered to your house by drone. We're going to show you how it's already happening in Israel right after this. Imagine ordering takeout and receiving your delivery by drone. Drone delivery is actually already happening in Israel. It's an amazing innovation, and it's part of what's being called the fourth industrial revolution. Chris Mitchell brings us the story.
These drones are completing a special mission as they land in Tel Aviv, delivering sushi from Japanica restaurant some 7 miles away in Herzliya.
You can see multi-drones taking off, doing delivery, coming back, land, finish the delivery process, everything autonomously.
Drones could become the delivery vehicle of the future, even transporting ice cream or anything you want from the restaurant to your home. Alon Abelson is CEO and co-founder of Highlander, a drone and unmanned traffic management solution that helps keep skies safe for this growing technology.
There is no pilot involved, no one is flying the drone, and you still need someone to make sure that the drone flying avoid collide between themselves, landing safely in the right location.
These are among the first commercial drone deliveries in central Israel and the city of Tel Aviv. It's the third of 8 stages expected to reach new heights over the next 2 years. It's being managed from the Ayalon Highways Control Center that's usually overseeing traffic on the ground.
We started from 0 flights 2 years ago, 700 flights in the first year, and now we're close to 9,000 flights.
As part of Israel's Innovation Authority, Daniela Partam leads the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution.
Our aim is to enlarge the ecosystem, so add more cities, more urban areas. In order for this to be an economically viable system, we would have to enable larger drones flying longer distances in order to deliver heavier goods to more areas.
Joined by the Civil Aviation Authority and Ayalon Highways, the project is a collaboration between the government and 16 local and international companies. The various companies work together towards solutions in key areas, ranging from air traffic control and flying the drones to deliveries and security. Libby Bahat from the Civil Aviation Authority says he sees opportunities and challenges.
We are a crowded country in terms of airspace. We have high security needs. These are challenges, but I think we know how to approach them.
Despite the challenges, Eyal Bilia from Ayalon Highways explains why drones are a good and timely idea.
The lower airspace is unused today, so we're trying to open the lower airspace in order to deliver all kinds of goods and deliveries from one place to another, and by that we're going to reduce traffic.
According to former General Yoeli Or and current CEO of Can Do Drones, the Israeli military has been using this technology for 10 years.
So we take it from the military side and adapt it for our needs in the civilian sides.
Working along with security and traffic control, Can Do can manage up to 250 drones at a time.
We connect different drones from different company, from different mission, to our system, and we can do them from one laptop.
The founding members of Airways came from the Israeli Air Force. CEO Eyal Zor explains how these experts in airspace management make it all work.
We are using advanced AI algorithms in order to manage a dynamic airspace of drones. We try to mimic the traditional aviation, like air traffic controllers and pilots, with our system in order to show that we can operate maximum number of drones in a dynamic urban city.
Deliveries are currently limited to between businesses, given the need for a drone landing pad. The order is placed through an app, then prepared, loaded on the drone, flown to the delivery site, collected, and taken to the customer. Daniel Rahamim heads up Meshlocha, one of the most popular and fastest-growing food delivery apps in Israel. Until now, Meshlocha relied on conventional delivery methods like scooters. As a technology company, though, Rahamim says he's always looking to the future.
We don't have any doubt that the next stage will be the drones, because this is the best way, the fast way, the safe way to move things from one side to each other.
Flytech is the aerial operator, and company vice president Yahav Price says the drones can transport a delivery weighing about 4.5 pounds.
This is the first time in Israel you can see this kind of project, which means the first time we fly drones with no eye contact.
through a computer, like another UAV.
Though the demonstration focused on getting ice cream to waiting journalists, Price says the vision reaches much further than just food delivery.
This is a platform to show that technology is there and safety is there. We want to provide much more important things to our civilians, like big orders, machines, and medicines.
Hospitals and medical facilities could be big winners with these deliveries, receiving life-saving materials quickly with no traffic jams. And consumers in the future will likely benefit in ways we haven't even imagined. Chris Mitchell, CBN News.
Coming up, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service called to a school in California Wednesday morning to remove an unexpected visitor who had showed up in a classroom. We'll tell you what happened when we come back. Stay with us. A quick-thinking custodian safely confined a curious cougar in an empty classroom after it entered a Northern California high school Wednesday morning. That is according to area authorities. The custodian was opening Pescadero High School for the school day when the juvenile mountain lion was spotted. No students or teachers were on campus at the time. That is what Acosta says. And Detective Javier Acosta with the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office said the mountain lion casually walked through the campus and decided to go into an English classroom. And he said the custodian acted quickly and managed to shut the door behind it. Acosta said the animal appeared lost and scared. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was called to humanely remove the big cat, who weighed about 40 pounds, and return it to its natural habitat. Time now for your Thursday Thankful. I hope you'll join me in this prayer of gratitude. Father, thank you for calling us to cast our cares on you. You care for us, and you desire for us to move burden-free. Thank you and amen. With that prayer, I trust you will allow today to be a Thursday filled with gratitude. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time, as well as online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. And, of course, you can reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We look forward to seeing you right back here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye. God bless.